Moving to Paris has simultaneously been a relentless nightmare, but also the best thing I've ever done. I'm so glad I'm not in London anymore, but also I'm completely broke.
Wait, what?
Life is great, but life is the worst it's ever been. Why have I done this to myself? But also, why didn't I do this sooner? We will get into all of this, but first, let's take a look back at how I ended up here in the first place for context. Tap just below if you want to skip through. For those of you who are new here, my name's Lashan. I'm from Sydney, Australia, and I've been living abroad for the last 7.5 years by this point. And on this channel, I make videos about my life living abroad. First in Montreal, Canada, in London, in Lisbon briefly, but beautifully, and now Paris. Guides on how to do it yourself and videos on how to get around as a digital nomad, which I'm very keen to get more into. I've had a roller coaster over time these last 7.5 years, which is detailed out all through my older videos. But my situation at the start of the year was this. I had been living in London for 5 years, a city I only had a like-hate relationship with, braved through loads of instability, through COVID, technical statelessness, technical homelessness, all the technicals here. The cost of living crisis decimating my savings, watched the general decline of the city and country post-Brexit, and was stuck in a soulless, nowhere-going corporate project management job at a prestigious yet embarrassingly low-paying engineering company where the pay raises never kept up with inflation, and by 2024 I'd have to get promoted to break even with what I started with in 2019, thanks Arab, in a career that I just wasn't passionate about, which I saw as the safe path. And look where that got me. I was miserable with nothing to show for it. There was a day where I was walking through that depressing office, began projecting my life out and thought, I cannot die here. This cannot be my life. I refuse. I can't work here or in this industry anymore. I was done. So I pulled the trigger. I quit my job, starting a 2-month countdown when my sponsored visa would be cancelled and I would need to leave the UK. I took all that I had built over the last 5 years and left everything behind and just jumped into the unknown. Without a job, without a plan, without any idea of where I was gonna end up. I wasn't even sure I was going to Paris at that point. It was somewhere I had been 10 times since moving to London and was head over heels in love with, after absolutely hating the city the first time I visited. I always wanted to move to Paris, but it seemed too crazy. I heard too many stories about how insane it was to find an apartment there, and to get work, and do any basic admin whatsoever. Maybe I watched too many Damon and Dominique videos. It was the impossible dream. But most of my best ideas start out that way, with a, wouldn't it be crazy if? And then next thing you know, I'm out there doing it. I'm very sad to leave Paris though. I don't want to leave this place. This place is amazing. I feel like I can live here. I feel like I'm at home here. Why am I going to London? By the time I left London in April, it was certain. Screw it, I'm moving to Paris. The first catch though was the timing. I decided on leaving in April for a few reasons, mostly because my rental contract was coming up in April, a little thing in Montreal I wanted to go to, and it seemed like the perfect time. But the problem with moving to Paris in 2024 is this little thing called the Olympics, and the horror stories being thrown around about how insanely expensive it would be to find anywhere to live prior to the games. In hindsight, yeah, the city was pretty much empty and I would have been fine, but I had no way of knowing that was going to be the case. But that gave me a date, the 13th of August. Put my life into storage and left London with my life in a carry-on and 2 suitcases on the 2nd of April. Somehow I needed to bridge that gap of 4.5 months, probably without a job, apart from a handful of freelance gigs. Australia is way too far and expensive to go home to. Also, after making my last video, it would be kind of ironic if I did. So I went back to Montreal for 3 weeks for the total solar eclipse, which was the greatest thing I had ever seen. Lived in Lisbon for a magical 2.5 months. I went back to London in July to process my visa. I got it! By Paris, where I dropped off one of my suitcases with a friend on a carefully coordinated handoff on the metro while on my way to my Flixbus. It looked so sketch. Then traveled as much as I could, mostly just to burn time. I did Ireland, the Dolomites, crashed my drone, RIP, Slovenia, Albania, Montenegro, Kosovo, and then finally made it to Paris. Somehow I managed it. When I was looking at this 4.5 month gap and then looked at my savings, it was knife edge, but I could get there. I got there. Just. I flew into Beauvais, never again, had the friendliest interaction with the border officer who welcomed me into France and stamped the visa on my passport. He asked me like, where are you gonna be living? Paris? And I just said, yeah. And that was it. Suddenly, I'm living in Paris, which is wild to me. With all the previous times I've been to Paris, I thought it already felt quite homely to me. I felt like I knew the city pretty well. I had a lot of friends there, even stayed there for 5 weeks during summer 2020, but this felt different. Suddenly everything felt real. I was kind of dreading this bit, reality hitting me like a freight train. Now I actually had to make things work and move fast. I was staying at a friend of a friend's place in the 8e while he was out of the country for a few weeks, which gave me some time while I tried to get my life sorted. My mentality back then, and still now to an extent, was this feels right. This feels incredible, but also it could fall apart next week. I have plenty of things to do. I have to get through a bunch of admin, I have to find an apartment, I have to find a job. And what wasn't helping was that I was already completely exhausted by the journey just trying to last long enough to get here. Not to mention the ridiculous logistical cluster of a journey it took to move all my stuff from London to Paris. And I had a sweat rash on my neck, which led to infection, and I was getting horrible sleep the first couple of weeks that I was here. Not a great starting point. It could be better. I'm gonna go more in depth with the admin and moving stuff in another video, but goddamn, things here are just unnecessarily complicated. This isn't even the real French bureaucracy, but let's just look at my attempt to get a French phone number. I tried to go with Sosh, and they required me to have a French phone number to get the French phone number. What? Quoi? Where is the logic here? Why can't I just pay like literally any other country that I've been to? After a whole day of headaches, I just gave up and found a Labarra SIM card editor back. Once I had the French phone number, I could get the French bank account, easier than expected, not gonna lie. And then with the French bank account, I could get a Navigo Liberté Plus card for public transport that I could also pair with my Believe subscription to get around with that, because the app is always broken. If you live in Paris, you know. This is before I've even gotten around to getting a tax number or anything else. The roundabout nature of the SIM card thing was already draining enough. It's like those times when you have the energy to smash through a ton of admin in the morning, only for the first task that you only expect to take half an hour to consume your entire day. Then came the nightmare of finding an apartment here. And I thought London was bad. Oh my God. London might have been a lot more drawn out for me, but the intensity of it here is just soul destroying. Probably should have dived into the apartment hunt as soon as I arrived, or even back in July, but was deterred by the whole Olympics thing and the fact that it was August, meaning everybody was on holiday. I was sending loads of messages in August and getting no replies. I attributed this to it being August, and everyone told me that things would pick up in September. They did not pick up. I was on all the Facebook groups, Le Bon Coin, La Cate Coloc, everything, sending messages to literally everybody with rooms in my price range with a full detailed message about me that I had perfected over my time in the apartment hunting gauntlet in London, en français as well as English. Nothing. For weeks. It's so demoralizing. In London, I was actually getting viewings at the very, very least. When it wasn't nothing, it was just a whole lot of bullshit. People responding and agreeing to a date and time and ghosting you when you ask for an address. This guy who, after sending a message clearly explaining who I am, asks me if I'm an exchange student. I say no, then zero reply for days. By that time, I was so drained and I had it with these people's bullshit, being treated as subhuman. So without anything to lose, I called him out on it. Making up an excuse to reject me, even though it was false, then ghosting. Like, come on. Suddenly he reads that message and denies it was the case, then uses that as a supposedly valid reason to reject me. Sure bro, guess I insulted his precious honor, as these French people love to pretend that they have. Then there was this lunatic. I already got weird vibes from his post, but the place seemed fine enough. I sent him a message and he asked me for how long I want to stay. This question is always super stressful because I've been honest about it before. Ideally a year, and then gotten pushback / rejection when they say, oh, I want a more short term, yada, yada, yada. I can do that too. I just need literally anywhere to live. I don't want to be walking down the street past a homeless in tents thinking that might be me in a week. So I was taking a more flexible approach. I say I'm flexible, ideally 2 months, but flexible for longer. I can work with you. So with this guy, I say that, and he responds, oh, c'est trop court. Like, what about that did you not understand? I reiterate that I can stay longer, and then he's like, oh, l'incertitude ne me plaît pas. Tu veux savoir que ne me plaît pas? Ton bullshit, bro. These people. This is after weeks and weeks of zero traction, and then the few people who do get back to me are these lunatic types with red flags coming out of their ears. I call him out on his whole profile being a massive red flag, and that there must be a reason why the room is vacant with an immediate move-in date, and he can find that reason in the mirror. You can't treat people like they're disposable. Be reasonable. He deleted the conversation, surprisingly. Then a week later, I see him repost the exact same listing. Looks like I was right. The most promising one I had was from a guy on La Cate Coloc. He was a videographer, so I sent a link to one of my YouTube videos and he was really, really impressed. So I went to the flat, which I loved the area, got along super well with the guy, great price, thought I had it in the bag. Then a few days later, I got rejected, very politely, but because the other lady had to move out of her flat in a week, and if she didn't secure something, she'd be out on the street. Which, fair enough, but also, I was in a worse position. I don't even have a week. I was hopping between friends' places at that very moment and was in a hellstorm of instability. Even though, yeah, I was desperate at the time, I thought the more important thing to show during a flatmate interview was connecting who you're gonna be living with. But I guess I didn't have a sob story. It's like Velib. Every day you learn a new way it can be broken. Every day you learn one more thing that you're missing. Through this apartment hunt, there is also this massive undercurrent of racism that nobody talks about. Also in London, since the housing crisis, there's a reason why there's a POC Housing for London Facebook group. The guy before who rejected me was white and Parisian, but we had that videography connection. The only other 2 apartments I was able to get a viewing for, they were 0 photo apartments. And guess where the landlords were from? Bangladesh and Morocco. Wow. Interesting how that works. The only people who were willing to take a chance on me in France were brown. Out of hundreds of messages. The racism here is insane. One of them instantly rejected me while I was in the apartment because he didn't want somebody who'd work from home because it was a walk-through room and he liked to work from home, which is disheartening, but fair. That same day, the other one reached out to me with an anonymous Facebook profile after I made a post on one of the Facebook groups about my struggle here. No pics, I just went through and saw it. Tiny room, but clean. No living room, nice area. Nice, humble guy. I said I was down to take it, but the catch was I didn't have a guarantor. Getting a guarantor, someone to vouch for you and be willing to pay rent in case you can't, is pretty much standard with most rentals here. But as a foreigner, it's basically impossible to get as I have to be living in France. And I'm not expecting any of my friends to do that for me. There's Vizal, but it's not accepted in a lot of places and I'm too old for it. There's paid services like Garant, but I didn't have everything required to get a certificate. I just had to get lucky with one of the places that didn't need one. He said without a Garant, I could pay 2 months of rent up front as a deposit instead of 1 month plus Garant, which is painful, but I could scrape it and just hope things would work out. It was a Thursday. He said it was very busy, but could get back to me on Sunday. I was pretty visibly discouraged and worn down by that point, but I bid him farewell and went back to my friend's house, who I just switched to, who I only met for the first time 2 weeks ago, and was sleeping on an air mattress on his bedroom floor. I mentioned the viewings I had that day, vented about how frustrating this all was, and the struggles of trying to find an apartment without a guarantor. Then he just offered to be my guarantor. Completely out of the blue. I didn't even ask. I barely know this guy. Nadir. Bro, that simple gesture suddenly made a whole world of opportunities possible. So ridiculously nice of you. Thank you. Just to make it clear how wild this is to me, when I had to try and find a guarantor for an apartment I was looking at in Montreal, my one and only relative in Canada wasn't even willing to do that for me. The next morning, the landlord texted me saying if I wanted to move in, I could the next day, so I did. I moved in. My flatmate is super cool. He's interning as a chef for a 3-star Michelin restaurant here. The nightmare was over, just like that. When these things happen, they happen quick. I have somewhere to live. Until the end of the year, at least that's how long the contract goes for. Update. All sorted. It was a nightmare and a hell of a story that I need to make an entire other video about it, but all sorted. I'm in an amazing apartment. I love where I live and everything has kind of worked out. Anyway, yeah, just a quick update on that, but back to the video. Then it came to the other nightmare of finding a job here. Oh my God. It is impossible. No matter how many friends I reach out to referring me, no matter how many connections I make to my run clubs, how many times I rework my CV in either language, no matter how many jobs I apply to, I am getting absolutely nowhere. I can't even get a job in a cafe or a bar just to get by. They ghost me harder than the career jobs I'm applying for. A few job interviews I have had just exploited me for free work through assignments, then rejected me from no reply emails and no feedback. It is soul destroying trying to survive here. Things have gotten really dark at times. I don't know if this is gonna work. And to be honest, it's frustrating meeting others who arrive with similar circumstances, but somehow have gotten off so much easier. Even when I have things that they don't, like being able to speak French. It's luck of the draw, I guess. My time is running out though. But also, after all the effort to move here, from surviving the 4.5 month gap, going through visa headaches, finding a flat, moving everything I own from London to Paris by car completely by myself, I cannot fail at the last hurdle. I just can't. I am so close to making it all work. But I do on occasion question why I'm putting myself through this, as one does. The reason at the end of the day is that no matter how hard or demoralizing things get here, with the apartment hunt, the French administration, the hopeless job situation, I am so much happier here than London. I love this city. When I have a minute away from being buried in this hellscape and just go on a sunset cycle through the city, relax at a Parisian cafe, bite into a fresh baguette tradition, especially when it's warm. People watch for hours, run along the Seine or tous les jardins Luxembourg. I think this is the greatest city in the world. It has almost everything I want out of my ideal city. It feels so alive, it's easy to get around. Work-life balance is sacred, it's beautiful. Living in Paris feels right. I can see the life I can have in this city. I feel like I'm supposed to be here. I wish I moved here earlier. It of course has its problems, but compared to London, compared to Australia, that opportunity cost equation is worth it in my eyes. That's why I keep pushing. That's why I'm not giving up and going back home. And then, out of nowhere, I just managed to secure a well-paying freelance video editing gig for a tech company based in London. 2.5 months into my time here, right as I burn my savings down to almost nothing. That was close. I just started and the pay is good, the workload is enough to keep me going and on the way back up. It's in what I want to do and there's lots of space to grow and learn while I'm at it. So yeah, this last nightmare, it seems, is over. But it is kind of ridiculous that nobody in France is willing to hire me, yet a foreign company is completely remote. Not a good look, Paris. But it's UK money in a city with low cost of living, so I'll take it. I've also still got availability for other work, so if anyone wants to hire me for anything, this is my email address. I'm interested in video editing roles, marketing, project management, and tech. During my job hunt, I was applying for everything, not just those niches, so don't worry. So if you know anything in there, or if you're just in Paris and think you could have something I'd be interested in, let me know. Update. Just kidding, it was yet another elaborate scheme by a parasitic company to try and extract free work from me. If you ever see a job listing by these guys, just run away. It's not real. It's just not real. But yeah, still looking for a CDI to stay here longer, so if you have any leads for that, let me know. Thanks. Back to the video. Probably not the conclusion you were expecting, but that's where I'm at right now. For now, my situation in Paris has kinda stabilized. At least I hope it has. Now I can focus on my life here and actually enjoy it instead of spending my days in a depressive job searching spiral. Well, now I need to start searching for another place to live in 2025. Yeah, this never ends. On that note, I'm gonna leave it there. So thanks for watching. Give it a like if you found this interesting or entertaining. Let me know your thoughts in the comments or if you got any advice. And consider subscribing to follow the rest of my journey here. However this pans out. Because I have no idea where this is going, but I feel like I'm right where I wanna be. I'll see you in the next one. Lashan, out.